Welcome to Worldwide Delicious. Today we uncover the secret benefits behind a daily Korean tradition, the comforting stew called Kimchi Jjigae. You've probably seen it. A bright red pot bubbling in the center of the table, steam rising, the aroma spicy, tangy, and deeply savory. In Korea, this is not just food. It feels like warmth you can taste. Especially when winter winds cut through Seoul and you step indoors to a kitchen that smells alive. Kimchi Jjigae is the kind of dish that makes you hungry before you even sit down. It is bold, but it is also familiar. It does not try to impress. It tries to take care of you. This stew began as a practical way to turn fermented kimchi into a full meal. Then it became a symbol of home. A spoonful brings heat to the chest, and the flavors feel bold but balanced. The broth can be built from seaweed or dried anchovy. Tofu soaks up every note, and vegetables soften into sweetness. What looks like one pot is actually a whole tradition built for sharing, built for cold seasons, built for everyday strength. In this episode, we travel through the roots of kimchi, the rise of Kimchi Jjigae, and the reason it shows up again and again at family meals. We will also talk about why fermented foods became essential before refrigerators, and why this stew is often described as comfort that supports the gut, the immune system, and the mood. Most of all, we will see how a daily dish can be both medicine and memory. Stay with me, because behind the bubbling surface, there is a culture that nourishes from the inside out. When you understand Kimchi Jjigae, you understand a Korean idea. Food is care. Food is community. Food is daily resilience together. To grasp the power of Kimchi Jjigae, we must start with kimchi itself. Kimchi has lived in Korea for more than 1,000 years, long before modern kitchens. In a land with cold winters, fermentation was not a trend, it was survival. Vegetables were salted, seasoned, and stored in jars. Then, time did its work. That waiting created depth of flavor, but it also protected food when fresh harvests were limited. Fermented kimchi became a pantry that stayed alive through snow months. Early kimchi was simpler, often pale in color, focused on salt and local aromatics. Over centuries, new ingredients arrived, and one change shaped the kimchi the world recognizes today. Korean chili flakes, known as gochugaru, became widely used centuries ago, bringing heat and a red glow that feels like a small fire in the bowl. As kimchi aged, it grew tangier, sharper, and more complex. Instead of hiding that acidity, Korean cooks turned it into strength. That is where Kimchi Jjigae enters. No one can point to a single first pot, but many historians link its rise to the Wholesome era, when households built satisfying meals from what they already had. Sour kimchi, once too intense as a side dish, became perfect as a stew base. Add broth from seaweed or dried fish, and the pot gains a savory backbone. Each family learns their own balance: more broth, more tofu, deeper kimchi. And the recipe travels by memory, connecting grandparents, parents, and children at one table always. Now let us talk about the benefits people feel before they can explain them. Kimchi Jjigae often tastes intense, yet many describe it as a meal that settles the body. One reason is fermentation. Kimchi is rich in beneficial microbes created during the fermenting process. Many people call these probiotics, and they can support a healthy balance in the digestive system. When digestion runs smoothly, the body may absorb nutrients more effectively, and the mind often feels calmer after eating. Kimchi also contributes vitamins and minerals that matter in daily life. Depending on the ingredients and the season, it can provide vitamins like a B and C, plus minerals such as iron and calcium. Then the stew adds more support through variety. Garlic and onions bring natural compounds that many cultures value for wellness. Scallions, mushrooms, and other vegetables add antioxidants and fiber. The broth hydrates and delivers savory satisfaction without needing heavy fats. Tofu is a quiet hero in the pot. It provides plant protein and essential amino acids, and its gentle texture helps balance the heat. It also acts like a sponge for flavor, so every bite delivers comfort without feeling overwhelming. Meanwhile, the spicy and sour profile can wake up the appetite, which is why this dish feels especially helpful on cold days or during fatigue. Still, the most underrated benefit might be the way it changes the pace of a meal. A bubbling pot invites slow eating. You scoop, you breathe, you listen, and you share. That rhythm reduces stress, and stress affects digestion and immunity. So Kimchi Jjigae supports the body not only through nutrients, but through the way it gathers people and creates a pause. In Korea, that daily pause is part of health, a simple stew that warms the gut and the heart. Kimchi Jjigae also carries a benefit that is social, not chemical. In Korea, meals are often designed for togetherness. Instead of separate plates that keep people apart, many dishes meet in the center, and Kimchi Jjigae is one of the best examples. The pot sits in the middle of the table and keeps bubbling like a small hearth. Everyone leans in, steam rises between faces, and conversation starts without effort. As the broth cooks, the flavors deepen, and the mood softens. This style of eating builds closeness. Sharing from one pot creates a sense of trust and attention. People notice who needs more tofu, who likes more kimchi, who is taking too much, and who is still quiet. The stew becomes a gentle way to care for one another. That is why it appears so often in Korean films and dramas. A steaming pot signals home, reconciliation, comfort, and memory. Even without subtitles, the viewer understands the feeling. Sharing also comes with etiquette that protects harmony. Many families wait for the oldest person to begin. This shows respect for elders and keeps the table calm. When serving from the pot, people often use clean utensils, not the ones that touch their mouth, so the shared meal stays hygienic. There is also an unspoken rule of balance. Take a little, leave enough, and return again later. These habits turn eating into a practice of consideration. In a fast world, that daily practice matters. It reminds the body to slow down, and it reminds the heart that nourishment is not only calories. It is laughter, warmth, and the simple act of gathering around a pot that never stops giving. When Kimchi Jjigae is on the table, the meal becomes a shared story, and every spoonful strengthens bonds as much as bodies quietly. In recent years, Kimchi Jjigae has traveled far beyond Korea. As Korean culture gained global attention, people began searching for the foods they saw on screens and heard about from friends. Many started with kimchi itself, then discovered the stew that turns it into a full meal. Restaurants in many cities now serve bubbling pots, and home cooks try their own versions with whatever ingredients they can find. The dish welcomes that creativity because its identity is strong enough to adapt. One household may prefer a lighter broth with seaweed. Another may build a deeper base with dried fish. Some add pork for richness. Others keep it plant-focused with mushrooms and extra tofu. Some like a gentle heat. Others want a bold burn that clears the senses. These differences do not break the tradition. They prove the tradition is alive. There is also a practical benefit hidden inside this flexibility. Kimchi Jjigae is a masterclass in reducing waste. As kimchi ferments, it becomes sharper and more sour. That stage is perfect for stew because the acidity brightens the broth and balances the savory base. What might feel too intense as a side dish becomes the best ingredient in the pot. This is a core Korean value. Make the most of what you have. Honor the work that went into the food, and transform leftovers into something even better. That is why Kimchi Jjigae feels both humble and powerful. It is not a dish built to impress strangers. It is built to feed families, to stretch ingredients, and to keep people warm. When it travels abroad, it carries that message with it. Simple food can be bold, and everyday cooking can be deeply nourishing. One pot can teach flavor, thrift, and belonging, all at the same time for everyone. Making kimchi jjigae at home is less about strict rules and more about understanding the logic of the pot. Start by choosing kimchi that has developed real temps. When it smells sharp and tastes deeper, it is ready to become broth. Warm a pot and let onions and garlic soften until their aroma turns sweet. Add the kimchi and cook it briefly so the fermented flavor opens up and the red color intensifies. This step is like waking up the ingredient. Many cooks use seaweed-based stock or dried fish stock for a clean umami backbone. But the goal is simple: support the kimchi without covering it. As the stew bubbles, the sourness rounds out and the spice spreads through the liquid. Then add tofu in generous pieces. Tofu is delicate, so let it sit in the simmering broth and absorb flavor rather than stirring it hard. Add mushrooms, scallions, or other vegetables, and they will soften into the broth, bringing sweetness and a fresh green lift. The best part is that kimchi jjigae is forgiving. If it tastes too spicy, soften it with more broth and more tofu. If it tastes too sharp, a longer simmer will mellow it. Over time, you learn what your body wants. More heat when you feel cold, more tofu when you want comfort, more vegetables when you want freshness. The pot listens. Serve it hot, ideally in the same pot, so the bubbling stays part of the experience. When steam rises, the table naturally gathers. The first spoonful is bright, savory, and grounding. That is the craft of kimchi jjigae. Simple steps that create a meal that feels like home. With practice, you will taste the balance and make it your own. Kimchi jjigae is often described as comfort food, yet it reflects a Korean idea that daily eating should also support health. The foundation is kimchi, and fermentation changes both flavor and function. During fermentation, helpful bacteria grow, and these microbes can contribute to a healthier gut environment. A well-supported gut is linked to digestion, nutrient absorption, and immune balance. That is why many people associate kimchi-based dishes with feeling lighter and more stable after a meal. The stew format adds more benefits through composition. It is warm, hydrating, and satisfying, which matters in cold weather and long working days. The broth carries flavor so the dish can feel rich without relying on heavy cream or large amounts of oil. Vegetables bring fiber and a range of natural compounds, and garlic and onions add aromatic depth that many traditions connect with wellness. Tofu contributes protein and minerals while staying gentle on the palate. There is also the benefit of balance. Kimchi jjigae holds spicy, sour, and savory in one bowl. That balance can reduce cravings for extra seasoning because the dish already feels complete. When paired with a simple bowl of rice and shared side dishes, the meal becomes varied without excess. Finally, consider the emotional side. Shared meals reduce isolation, and warmth reduces stress. And stress shapes appetite and digestion. When a family gathers around a bubbling pot, the body relaxes, breathing slows, and food is received more calmly. So the secret benefits of kimchi jjigae include microbes, nutrients, and the quiet social medicine of eating together day after day. None of this makes it a magic cure, but it does show why the dish endures. It is practical, flavorful, and built on habits that reward consistency. One warm bowl can help you reset and keep going today. As we close this journey, remember what kimchi jjigae really represents. It is a bowl of history shaped by winter, fermentation, and family. It began with the need to preserve vegetables and to stretch ingredients. Then it grew into a national comfort that people crave when they want warmth and connection. The kimchi brings tang and depth. The broth brings umami. Tofu brings gentle strength, and vegetables bring freshness. Together, they create a stew that feels bold, yet grounding. If you ever try it in Korea, you might find it in a tiny neighborhood restaurant. Steam fogging the window, the pot bubbling on a burner built into the table. Or you might be invited into a home where the aroma greets you before anyone speaks. Either way, the message is the same. Sit down, eat, and belong. If you make it at home, you will learn how flexible it is. You will taste how aged kimchi becomes the star, how a longer simmer smooths the edges, and how the whole pot becomes better when shared. That is the secret benefit behind this daily tradition. It nourishes the body through fermented foods and simple ingredients. And it nourishes the heart through ritual and respect. Food can be culture you can taste, and health you can feel, without turning the table into a lecture. Kimchi Jjigae proves that everyday cooking can be both practical and profound. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Worldwide Delicious. We travel the world through dishes, traditions, and the hidden lessons behind what people eat every day. Leave a comment with the dish you want next, and we will meet again for another bowl of history. Until then, keep your curiosity hungry, keep your kitchen brave, and remember, the best meals are shared often with love.